Many men think that dealing with modern women is a joke out here, but I am here to tell you that you need to exercise caution and ensure you do not ignore red flags when you see them. We can all agree that for most men watching this video, modern women are the real problem in dating, and it's not the majority of men. Women are the ones choosing the men in this marketplace. They choose the men who pump and dump them, cheat, lie, manipulate, hurt, and generally are not good for them in the long term. Men are not choosing women, and most men right now would be happy to get one woman to part her legs if he's lucky. We know this because women control access to segs, and they are all giving the top-tier men access to their bodies and recycling the same men until the big 30 or a wake-up call happens. Then they decide to switch lanes and give the nice guy a chance even though they're not sexually attracted to him, and we all know the divorce statistics and how that relationship ends. So at this point in our RP journey, we have enough evidence to see that this is happening, so we can confidently say women are their worst enemy, not the majority of men. With that said, the first red flag you must never ignore when dating modern women is the woman who only wants your time. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but your time is one of the most valuable resources you have at your disposal, and every time you decide to spend it, you will never get that time back. It doesn't matter if you start the next day. The time you spent yesterday is gone forever, never to return again, so you have to be mindful of that. That said, spending most of your time wastefully on things that don't help you achieve your goal can set you back years, if not decades, from being where you envision yourself to be. This is why spending time on women is so dangerous, because it puts you in a position to waste the time you should be spending on trying to attain financial stability or independence on peace sleeve or a woman's company that doesn't bring back anything of value 9 times out of 10. And women know how valuable your time is, so if the woman you are dating prioritizes your time and attention over your money, then she is a dangerous woman that should be discarded from your life. Broke men without ambition, or some of you broke ninjas, don't understand why transacting money is better than transacting your time, because they don't have any money, but they have a hell of a lot of time. So of course, those men will be happy to give away their time frivolously because they lack money. But men with money know how valuable their time is to make more money, and they know that time is more valuable than money, so they have no problem transacting their money to get what they want from modern women instead of giving away their time that they can't get back. If a man that is financially independent and has at least $10,000 in the bank spends $800 on one of his subscription girlfriends, and she comes over to his place 3 times a week and lets him beat out the juices out of her wet vice grip until it's drier than sandpaper, the next month he can make back those $800. However, if he wasn't living the free agent lifestyle and had a girlfriend who only wanted his time, and he spent 60 hours a week with her banging peace sleeve and wasting time on useless conversations and dating, he'll never get back those 60 hours he spent. I hope you understand why spending time on women that rarely ever add anything to your life is so detrimental to your financial future, because once you swipe that time debit card, you'll never see those funds again. And when it refills the next day, that's a new time that should be spent on productive things that will actually benefit your life. Ex-exes don't add value, and the most they'll do is leech off of you like a parasite and waste your time, especially the time thieves. So I advise you to transact money over time with modern ex-exes and reserve your energy, attention, and time for making money. You can always make back money if you work hard and smart enough, but time, once you spend it, that's it. So ensure that when you're spending time on women, it's not for too long and you've already had a productive day. Women have no problem wasting your time if you let them, and that won't benefit you in the long run if you want to be somebody or be financially independent. So keep that in mind the next time you're talking to your girl or sneaky link on the phone until you fall asleep. The second red flag you must never ignore when dating modern women are the woman who got raped. This is a touchy subject because these women who legitimately got raped were done wrong, and it was somewhat out of their control depending on the circumstance surrounding the incident. I say that because some women put themselves in the position for that to happen. Some teased the man too much until he couldn't take it anymore. Some were wearing 304 uniforms that may have made the man lose control, and some gave initial consent and took it away somewhere in the act, and the other person continued. So when you hear a woman got raped, until you hear about the circumstance of the incident, don't jump to conclusions. However, for all the actual victims, I hope you get justice for the wrong that was done to you, because I don't support rape unless it's a fantasy being fulfilled or for role play. And yes, a lot of women have this fantasy. Ironically, I was digging out a girl who said she got raped and wanted me to grape her. Yeah, guys, that is why I said it depends on the circumstance, because she might have gotten raped, but it doesn't mean she didn't want it. Let me tell you my story so you guys understand why you shouldn't date these women, and you should probably run to the hills when she reveals this red flag. I've hooked up with 2 women that said they got raped. The first one told me that her cousin's boyfriend held her down and took it from her, and that's how it went down. After it happened, some time passed, and eventually, she got her father involved, but because time had passed and there wasn't any evidence, and of course, the alleged rapist denied it, and nothing came out of it. She told me that after it happened, she became very sexual and started getting her body count up. I know this because I still talk to her. Funny enough, we spoke yesterday at the time of the script. The thing is, the story that she told me didn't line up properly when I asked her a second time, which led me to believe something about it wasn't accurate. And this is something that you must always have in the back of your head when you hear someone got graped, and that is, was this person afraid to have sex and just use the term grape as a means to skirt accountability, or did they have a fantasy that they wanted to be fulfilled but just not with that person? The reason why I'm skeptical is that the second girl who told me she got graped, it was allegedly her boyfriend at the time that took it, but she continued their relationship and she continued having sex with him. Now that doesn't make sense to me, but she never told her family, and she never broke up with the man after the incident. She was 16 and he was in his 30s or 40s, if my memory serves me right. With that said, her complaint was he was never affectionate after they had sex and she felt used. So my train of thought was, if he was affectionate with her each time they had sex, then would she have said he graped her, or would she have framed it as he just took it from her, but she forgave him? You see what I mean? So to tell you the truth, after she told me she wanted me to grape her, I knew she wanted that to happen to her, and the only reason she outed the guy was because he didn't treat her with love or her idea of love. This is why I said, in the beginning, it depends on the circumstance. I just remembered I had another example. So the girl that sent me to the RP, you guys know I didn't have sex with her after our 2-year relationship, and she swindled me and took me for a fool. I shared this multiple times on the channel, so I've been there with many of you guys, but in my college days, I tried very hard to convince my girl to have sex with me, and she would always reject me. And I remember I went close this one time, but she stopped me, and nothing happened. But I remember texting her and talking about it, and she said I should have just taken it. Now I don't think she was joking, and looking back, because her mother was strict, she was fearful that if she did have sex with me, she would get kicked out of her mother's house. But if she had the option to say I graped her, then it wouldn't have been her fault, so she could skirt accountability by throwing me under the bus. Do you see what I mean? But this is what I think allegedly happens to women. If they really like the guy, and he did aftercare when he took the woman, then they will be less inclined to frame it as grape. But if they didn't like the guy and he didn't do aftercare, then expect it to be framed as grape. And be mindful, I said woman, not a kid. And I don't agree with it or men doing it. I'm just telling you, if she had that experience, you might not want to date her or be in a relationship with her, because she will have that negative experience throughout her life that you will have to deal with, because most of them will not go to a therapist to get help. The 2 girls I had a situationship with both said they were virgins at the time when the incident happened to them, and both of them I don't have a sketchy story, so based on my experience dealing with women who got raped allegedly, I would say there are lies in a lot of women's story, and you have to take the BS as a result of what happened. But I will say that not all the women who said that happened it isn't exactly how it was framed, and sometimes there's a level of purposeful victimhood that they can lean on to do whatever they wanted to do after the incident. I don't think it will be worth seeing past a woman who said they got raped. Can they be good human beings? Of course, does that mean the story you were told is accurate? It does not necessarily mean it was. You can get a half-truth or a victimhood story. If she is damaged mentally from that experience, you have to deal with it. So unless you want to put up with that, then avoid them. This is a very touchy subject because I know some of you probably had relatives or girlfriends that had this happen to them, and you would want a man to date and marry them because it was out of her control. And I can see that, and there will be a man willing to do it, so don't worry, your relatives or friends can get a man to accept them if that happens. But for most men, it will not work, and that's just a fact. Most men don't want to put up with it, and most men can't deal with it because they're not a therapist. So don't take what I'm saying out of context. I'm sharing my personal experience, and I know there is BS there, so why would I recommend that men date women like that? But I know that men will overlook it, so there will never be a woman who got raped, and a man will not accept her. Are we clear, gents? And none of you better not go out there and grape a woman. Even if it's a consensual role play, don't do it. Tap the like button, guys. That red flag is a touchy subject that many people will have a problem with, and I hope I conveyed it properly because it happens to people, and there's a lot of baggage there that men should be aware of. But if you are with someone who got raped or you want to date someone who had that experience, you can date them. Just know you have to deal with their past, which can negatively affect you and your relationship. If she told you after you guys got into the relationship, then you can leave if you're not comfortable with that. That's my belief, but do what you want to do. It's your life at the end of the day. Tap the subscribe button if you're new to join our community. And if you want to learn the red flags that all men must avoid when dating modern women, then here it is on the screen. What are you waiting for? Click it right now. Go on, click it.